foes and heroes. Gonna tell you about pros and foes and heroes. Gonna tell you about
comic books, costumes,
Facts, boots.
and other stuff.
In this week's issue,
The Engineer, Hawkgirl, and Mr. Terrific. Welcome into Bros, Foes, and Heroes. I'm Zach, joined, as always, by the movie-going one, Mr. Mike.
hello. I go to movies.
It does kind of fit this way, and
Yeah.
you'll see in a second.
Yeah.
I'm kind of giving a primer in a way. Like, this is not a super deep dive into the character. I'm going to try to answer any questions Mike might have.
Okay.
And hopefully I'll be able to get them right sometimes. I might have to look stuff up here. But what I'm going to do is focus on three characters. We kind of teased this a couple weeks ago. I guess, well, I'll get to it. I'm going to focus on three characters that are going to be in the upcoming Superman movie that you might not know a lot about. So
I told you before we started this, I'm very excited about this one because I know very little about the ancillary characters in this movie.
exactly. And I'm going to tell you, obviously, that this is James Gunn's movie and that all of these characters might have completely different stories.
That's
in
true,
this.
too.
Like,
Yeah.
I am just focusing on stuff that's here in the comic books. I'm sure some of it will probably, make its way over.
He's
But
fairly accurate, though, a lot of the time, right?
usually, but sometimes you have to,
you
twist
also
things to fit your
have
story.
to mix things sometimes, like one from this comic book and one from that comic
That's
book.
true,
To
and to make the story you want there. Or sometimes some characters fill the role of other characters. And anyway, before we dive into our stories today, let me just give you an intro to us. I already said I'm Zach. He's Mike. We're Bros, Foes, and Heroes. We're a comic book podcast where every week we break down either a comic book character or storyline and give you just, some fun and also a little bit more comic book knowledge. And you get to listen to Mike and I talk about stuff. And usually people seem to like that for the most part. And then on Wednesdays, for the most part, I
saw a lady on a morning show yesterday, and the title of her book is "Not Everybody's Going to Like You."
That's accurate.
Man, that is
here
so simple.
Honestly,
but it's true.
honestly, a great piece of advice, and I'm going to butcher this quote now, but I heard somebody say it earlier. It was, I think, David Foster Wallace, where it's I quit caring how much people I quit caring what people thought of me when I figured out how seldom they do. And I was like, oh, that's actually really good.
The one that I always think of is that one with the guy from Seinfeld where he's sitting on a beach and he says, look, nobody
George
cares.
Costanza.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
No, not George Costanza. It's Newman, the guy who played Newman. He's on a beach and there's like this, it's like a two-panel. It's almost like the cat sitting at the end of the table and that woman pointing at it, which I don't know where that came from either. But he is like, this guy will come up and go, and it'll be a different quote every time. It'll be like, hey, I've just bought new toothpaste or whatever. And then he'll go, oh, look, he just bought new toothpaste. Look, nobody cares, that kind of thing. And I just think about that a lot. I also got advice at one point, and cover the kids' ears, but nobody but you knows you're high.
No,
that's
absolutely. No, absolutely.
It's actually good advice,
Yeah, no, for sure. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
All right. So before we get into our comic books, I said that I gave us an intro. There is a piece of comic book news that I do want to talk about because I got super giddy and excited. And Mike, I obviously wanted to talk about it on the show just very briefly, if I may. Sure. There's a comic book that exists that is 2017's Mr. Miracle by Tom King and Mitch Gerads.
This is a big deal yesterday.
It is. That is like my favorite. We're recording this on Friday. You're watching on Monday. But Thursday, even earlier in the day, and I can't remember what festival it was. I should have done that. But it was announced that they are turning that essentially into look at that. An adult animated series. We don't know too much more about it. Obviously,
did they say? Is it HBO? I'm assuming since it's Warner, or is it Netflix?
I'm assuming since it's Warner that it probably will be. The beauty of it too is like Mitch did the art for that too.
Yeah.
And Tom King is going to be the showrunner, and he's going to be the EP on it. The thing that I love so much
good
is
art.
It is, but it's so genius to me, and maybe it's silly if having the people who actually created the story that you're adapting then work on the animation that you're doing then too. Like I feel like it's going to have the exact same heart and everything. And I'm looking forward to it so much. So I am super stoked about that. Obviously, everything is TBD, but the fact that I never in a million years thought we would ever see that. So
well, and the animated thing probably will come out a lot faster than a normal movie would too. at this point because, making animated cartoons at this or animated films at this point is not draw, then draw another one, then draw another. It's all computer generated, at least from one resting phase to another resting phase or something.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I'm realizing as we went ahead and we started this and I'm trying to load everything in, that I don't have all my PDFs for us to do this.
Okay.
Well, no, I mean, like, I haven't loaded them in yet.
Yeah.
So what we're covering today is we have 3 characters, and I cannot believe.
I have Joe Namath behind me and Howard Stern.
Nobody
and Scott
sees
Drew
Joe
for some
Namath,
reason.
though. Where did you ever do where you save? It didn't, and I deleted the pictures too. Anywho, okay, this is great. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna pivot mid episode.
Oh, good.
And we're going to start where I wasn't going to start. I was going to start with this. Well, we'll still talk about her. We're going to go ahead and start with the engineer.
Yeah.
And
this is one I have zero knowledge of. Yeah.
And as I bring her in, she started back, well, she's not the first of the engineers, technically.
Oh, it was an image thing to begin with?
So
All right,
kind
I'll
of.
shut up and listen.
Okay. Let's go back to, there's this whole... I'm going to get things wrong. Stormwatch is a team, a comic book team. I'm pretty sure the authority that we'll get to was under Jim Lee's image. Or what was it? Was it Wildcat, Wildstorm?
I remember that. Yeah, Wildcats.
Well,
and,
sorry, the team was Wild. I think it's Wildstorm, whatever Jim Lee. Stormwatch was under, it's eventually under Image too, but it's a Jim Lee book.
The Wildcats and stuff, that was about the same time that I was running that store out in
Wildstorm,
Hillsboro.
sorry.
Yeah.
So Wildstorm was the publisher that ends up becoming, it's Image stuff now, but it's a Jim Lee created book there. And Wildstorm was a imprint that an independent company that he established with Brandon Choi.
Okay.
And so in Stormwatch, there was a character called the Engineer that was introduced later on by Warren Ellis, who also writes the first part of the Authority that we're going to get into.
Okay.
Essentially, here's what happens. Stormwatch is a book. Stormwatch is a team. And I'm trying to give us in the most basic things, and I know other people can leave comments to go into it a bit better. Sure. But it's like a team kind of headed by, sanctioned by, I think the UN in a way.
Okay.
It was like a team sent out to, go, fight. I think that's what Stormwatch was. Maybe I'm confusing with another team. Anyway, the first engineer is a guy who...
wow.
Yeah, he's all green. But he spent his whole adult life extending the possibilities of his own body with technology.
Not a bad-looking hero, honestly.
Not at all. This is all nanotechnology that he views as miraculous engines that he thinks can kind of create everything and, cause the world to want for naught. There's another panel here of he's growing trees that grow snack food and different mechanical parts and stuff like that. And his whole thing is he's very big on this nanotechnology.
Okay.
So his first appearance here is in Stormwatch 48. Mm-hmm. Stormwatch 50, he's dead. So,
oh my God! It just kills him.
Yeah, they end up killing the first engineer. And I just say that to tell you there is a first engineer before we get to the second engineer, who is who we are going to focus on here.
That is a good-looking panel right there.
That is. So it's split. It looks a little funky because it's kind of split down the center. It's front and back. Yeah. And you see the Wildstorm imprint, but that is all the Authority there. And the
Pay allegiance to the Authority.
Yeah, the silver woman there is the engineer.
Okay.
Angela Spica, S-P-I-C-A.
So she's the newest engineer.
She is the newest engineer.
Okay.
And we learn a little bit about how she became the newest engineer of essentially where she knew the old engineer before. She worked in similar, she was a young, child prodigy.
Okay.
Who was into similar kind of things. She was very much also into, using nanotechnology and stuff to heal body parts and things like that. So she had involvement with the original engineer without knowing he was the actual engineer.
You start to think of the Star Wars, Star Trek healing kind of thing, where they put the thing over them or whatever, and the little robots come in and they fix it all stuff. It's kind of that nanotech.
Exactly. And so she says herself, she goes, I had met him, in real life, but I didn't know he was the engineer. I didn't even know until my home computer, after he died, her home computer is just filled with all of his information.
Oh.
And what she does then is she links that where does it say? Oh, with all of his notes on nanotech and linking it to her work on human machine fusion. And so she essentially then infuses herself with all of her work, and so she is covered with like that layer.
What's it called? The
nanotech.
No, when the humans and machines combine, there's a word for it. It's like the coming whatever. I can't spit it out for some reason. Keep going, and I'll find it.
Well, no. What do you mean? Like the?
It's like the.
Like ex machina. I don't know what you're talking about.
Kinda. Yeah.
So. The different things, though, that the engineer can do is essentially she, as you've seen in the trailers, she can create and make a lot of different things out of her nanotechnology. I don't know. Also, later on, just to say, DC does get the characters of the Authority and all that. Like, they buy like the Wildstorm image, and they're actually are the Wildstorm imprint. And I believe it's the New 52 that they're actually kind of inserted into like DC continuity and stuff.
Okay.
But so DC, obviously there's an engineer there too. It's basically the same kind of character, I believe, in a way. I don't think they changed her up too much. I know they even did a series of like, Superman versus the Authority. It's the Authority as a whole, but I didn't dive super into the engineer. As you can see, obviously I'm giving just a very brief. I dove more into Hawkgirl and Mr. Terrific because I think that there's more Hawk. Am I saying Hawk?
It always just sounds like Hawkgirl. Hot, almost like HOT.
With a K. No.
Yeah, I get it. It's just, that's a hard thing to say.
It is. But
the singularity is what I'm thinking. That's when computers and humans fuse.
So her body is made of like that liquid machinery that can morph into different weapons. We've seen it. Yeah, kind of in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know. She's obviously going to be, or it looks like she's going to be working with Luthor. I don't know if he has something against her, or if
in this what instance that you're showing me here, is she good or bad?
She's good.
Okay. That's what I thought.
I say that. Let me tell you a little bit about the Authority.
All good heroes or people can be turned bad in comics, though, pretty easily without even their real knowledge. When you think Peacemaker's a very good example of that. Peacemaker is really a bad guy because he wants to have peace at all costs, and he'll just kill people for it. But he's a good guy also. He just doesn't know he's doing a bad thing. You know what I mean? Like, there are those unintentional bad guys, and if you're saying,
okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, if you're saying that the engineer was, then maybe that's what happened.
Well, I don't know. No, so she's part of the Authority. The Authority is a team, kind of like a secret black. Like, think about. Here's the best way to put it. Think about the boys, right?
Yeah.
Except it's all like they all have superpowers in a way. And when there's a problem, they like show up and they dispense their own kind of justice in a way.
Okay.
It's just like however we seem to deem fit with it. Like, or also, okay, remember we did like Superman versus the Elite. Mm-hmm. The Authority are probably going to be a very good, what's the word where it's like you could switch them out. Doppelganger or a like fill in for the Elite in that story.
Okay.
Of where they're a group that's probably going to be, when you think about it, just like fights a little too tough. Like they want to do, or Kingdom Come in the same way too. Mm-hmm. Those heroes that, they want to, they don't have a problem being super violent and getting rid of the threat at all costs, where it's, a Superman has a more delicate approach or more humanistic approach to it. So the other character, the one we're diving into the level of in-depth we're going to dive into.
Stop for 1 second. The engineer
I'm going.
In current comics is her?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay. All right.
As far as I know, last in the New 52 I saw.
What I'm amazed with is how he's going to explain all these things in a very short amount of time, because it's still just a 2-hour movie.
Well, the thing is, I think that her powers, obviously, visual, you can see. Like, you can kind of already get it from watching them.
You don't have to do a origin story with Superman, but you bring in somebody called the Engineer who fights with nanotechnology or nanites. Maybe you need to say something about it,
Well,
or maybe not.
Here's one we're going to get into.
Nobody told me why the weasel was the weasel, so
that's true. I don't think you need to know. The next character we're going to get into is one that very much so I have no clue how they're going to do part of her backstory. So this will be very interesting, and that is Hawkgirl.
Yeah,
Hawkgirl.
She needs that mask back with that big crooked nose on it, though.
So that was her earlier appearance, and we're going to dive into things kind of shortly, but I'm going to give you just a little bit of background of the first appearance of Hawkman to begin with.
Late 80s, early 90s is the middle one?
So the middle one and on the right are what we're going to cover, because that is who I'm pretty sure we're getting is our Hawkgirl.
She's actually got interrupted in a.
It's Kendra Saunders.
She actually got interrupted in a jazzercise.
No,
class
this is
or
late.
something.
This is late 90s.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like 99, I believe, 99 into 2000.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and let's introduce. Did you? Oh,
Is she
well.
part Hawk?
Well, no. That's what we're going to get into. I'm going to explain.
Oh, I remember Sensation.
Did you hear something that you might not know then?
Yeah.
So we've covered Sensation Comics #1 because
Yeah.
that was the first appearance of Wonder Woman.
Right.
So the same comic that had the first appearance of Wonder Woman also has the first appearance of Hawkman.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it doesn't. It has the first appearance of Mr. Terrific. Flash Comics. I'm out of order. There we go. Let's try this
Good.
now.
Yeah, you're good. It's hard to keep all this stuff straight.
It is hard to, but that does have the first appearance of Mr.
Hawkman.
Terrific, and I kind of ruined it. But
That's
I
okay.
thought that was very funny.
all right. I won't remember it.
So,
Wow, the Flash, Hawkman.
So Hawkman appears first in
and
the
old
Flash
Cliff
Comics
Cornwell.
#1.
I mean, everybody knows Cliff Cornwell.
The whip.
Yeah, the whip.
Is that the horse or the whip itself, do you think?
Yeah, I kind of like the name Johnny Thunder, though. That's kind of
That
nice,
is true. Well, here's
Yeah. Him and his nitro burning funny car.
here. that was John Force. So, here's the thing. We've never covered the origin of the original Flash, Jay
Yeah.
Garrick. Do you know how he got his powers?
Well, he was delivering flowers for FTD. and
Hard
then-
water.
What? Excuse me?
Fumes from hard water.
Hard water.
Yeah, like you know how like they send you tests and like you'd be like, oh, you test, you know.
Yeah. You had to put a water softener on your.
That's how he became super fast. Yep, fumes from that.
Wow.
Man,
I need to
comics
take
were-
a lot more baths.
Yeah, comics were different in the 30s. But Hawkman first appeared in Flash #1.
Hawkman. Sorry.
And I just wanted to show you just a little bit about the background of the characters because there's something you need to know about Hawkman that is part of him from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And that is reincarnation, Mike.
Oh, really?
Yes. So we're going to have to do a deeper dive into these characters.
Yeah,
Again,
sure.
this is just a quick little primer.
As we go
Because-
down the Superman trail, we can do that.
Yeah. But I have no idea how they're going to touch this stuff. I don't know if they're going to, honestly.
I bet they don't.
Because and Kendra's gets even more confusing, and I'm pretty sure we're getting the Kendra Saunders version of Hawkgirl, but I'll explain.
Now, Hawkman is literally fused with a hawk?
No, so Carter Hall. No, he's not fused with a hawk at all. Like
Because it looks like those wings are
So-
coming out of his back.
so here's the thing that's added later is like the
Poor
hawk.
Zach. He's got to not only explain it, but then he's got to keep up with my stupidity.
The hawk people are from a planet
The hawk
Thangar,
people.
or they're Thangarian, right?
Yeah.
So they come from a different planet. There's also a point in time where these creatures, like they crack, at least in the JSA comic, then that I've covered for Hawkgirl here, it's like these Thangarian warriors crash land back in ancient Egypt.
Okay.
And they infuse with, like, I think Khufu is Hawkman's name, and I can't remember Hawkgirl's character's name right now, like her Thangarian. And what happens is when they die, they're always reincarnated as somebody else who then eventually goes on to be like Hawkman and Hawkgirl, or like there's a weird lineage there. But Carter Hall is essentially Hawkman.
Okay. Carter Hall.
And from the very first time, people who love these characters are probably just like, you got that wrong. You got that wrong. I'm
Wealthy
trying.
collector of weapons and research scientist.
Leave a comment below.
I mean, he collects research
He does.
scientists?
Leave a comment below, and I'll make Mike read all the things we got
I'll
wrong.
read your comments.
Well,
Absolutely.
all the things we got wrong,
Love
so
it.
we'll get it right. But yeah, so Carter Hall is a collector. He's wealthy. He's a collector of all this, and his friend sends him this glass knife from Egypt, and it causes him to feel funny, and he falls asleep, and he has like this whole. It does. He's so sleepy.
Oh, man.
And he like he has this dream, but it's him back in time, and this is where we see like he's Khufu, and there's this evil. He's Prince Khufu.
You're Khufu.
And there's this evil. Where is it? Sorcerer Kolar. No, Kolar's the beast. Where's his name? It's
Kolar the Beast,
Anton.
sure.
Dang it, I can't find names here. But he just Shira is who the first Hawkgirl is. Anyway, the prince is defending. He's trying to find his love Shira to protect her from Hothset. Hothset's the bad guy, right? just go with me,
These are
right?
terrible names.
I know, just go with me. Anyway, Hothset wins and kills both Khufu and Shira, But that causes Carter to wake up, and as he wakes up, he like leaves. Like, all right, that's a weird dream. And as he leaves,
said, "I die, but I live again," or something like that. Whenever he got,
he feels like he's connected. He realizes like, oh, I'm gonna be. So that's the thing is like the guy back then tells him like, I will make sure that you never win. I'll come back and like reincarnated and all that. So as he wakes up and he leaves the house. There's a subway accident and he bumps into a woman who he realizes, pardon me, are you Shira? And he's like, how do you know that? And he tells her about the dream he had, and she has the same dreams. So we find out, oh, those weren't dreams. Those are what really happened. Like, we are connected. We are those people. And then he turns into he decides to become Hawkman. That's essentially it.
I must have known the night would strike or the night would come, and I know where to strike. I got to give it up to Hawkman, though. I do love that costume.
I do, too.
That costume's pretty kick-ass.
So he finds out that also that Hoth set guy has also been reincarnated every time, too.
Okay.
So he always has a new villain each life to, try to stop them.
Yeah.
The first time that Shira is Hawkgirl, though, is All-Star Comics #5. And what Hawkman comes up with this plan that he needs a doppelganger.
I don't like that mask, though.
Yeah, that he needs a doppelganger, so he has her dress as him.
Why don't you just use Crypto?
So there's
dress him up like Superman, fly him around.
Yeah, Crypto's not around yet. So she dresses up as him. So technically, this is the first. Well, so technically, this is the first time that Hawkgirl exists, and it's still Shira.
Sure.
But pretending to be him,
There's a glaring difference there between the two. By
also,
the way.
But pretending to be him, she gets shot, and he's just like, "Oh no!" Like, poor girl.
Whoops.
And he's like, "Poor girl." Like, come on, dude, you got her shot essentially.
Yeah.
That's just funny. Another thing that I need to bring up with this that you should know: Detective Comics #1, which I will not show the cover of because it was very racist.
Really?
Oh.
Detective Comics #1?
Yeah, it's just.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like we've shown other stuff. I saw it and I was like, nah.
Yeah.
But it is like Batman shows up in issue 27.
Okay.
So in issue 1, though, from the very beginning, there is a detective called Speed Saunders that's in there.
Okay.
And the only reason I tell you this,
taxi,
is because there is a retcon in the 90s here that Speed Saunders is the, I believe, cousin of Shira, or it's brother. He's related to Shira then.
Okay.
Okay. And I think it's her brother. That's what it is. He's Shira's brother, right?
Okay.
They retcon that because Speed then becomes the grandfather of Kendra Saunders, who is the new Hawkgirl who we're going to cover now.
I love that.
So
great art.
that's how they tie it back into the original JSA here is they have her connected.
I see what you're saying.
You see what we're about. So this is why it's going to get confusing.
Yeah, that cover's rough.
The cover's rough. What do you
That
mean?
Detective Comics.
Oh, yeah,
I looked it up. Just
no, I thought you were talking about this one.
No, the art on this one's kick-ass.
So this one is her very first appearance.
I like the guy in the baseball hat.
The baseball hat? That's the new Sandman.
Oh, okay.
It's the JSA. They take the team from the 40s and they like reimagine them in the 90s. She's out in West Texas.
She takes her top off.
She does. Sure. Woo! Burn chicken. But I mean, I like her outfit in this too.
I do like, and that mask is much better than the older ones with the weird beak.
And so that's what we have there. But it just introduces her in 3 panels, and it just tells her that like her grandfather.
That's how I fly.
Yeah, it's like, the wings wore by Shira Saunders, which was her then great aunt. Because she talks about how yesterday she celebrated her 19th birthday, and she's been training for 6 months with her grandpa.
Finally take my shirt off.
With her grandpa then, Speed Saunders. But she has the wings now that were worn by Shira, who we introduced you to the very first one, right?
Yeah.
Her great aunt. Kept aloft she can fly by a belt of the nth metal, I think it's nth metal. That's the thing that the weapon that he was sent in the very beginning was made out of. All
of these people are going to be tied to those nanites.
No.
Well, what I'm saying is that could be a change.
Instead of nth metal?
Well, it does seem
okay, so think about this. Nth metal is kind of like vibranium, right? In Wakanda, that's what the Thangarians, they have their weapons.
Think that's what they're going
metal.
for in this?
No, I'm just telling you, that. I don't think that's a thing that's with him though. So her wings that she wears, they're not a part of her. She wears them kind of.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. That's what it's always made me to believe is that they're like part of her
Yeah, it
costume.
looks like she's putting it all on.
And she has like she said that she has a belt of
notice
mane
the
that causes her to
talons on her knuckles.
which look really cool too.
Huh.
And then she swoops away, and it's a great costume. And then it
Yeah.
has like a little. It gave you a little intro to her.
Oh
there.
wow, yeah, first appearance, all that. stuff.
Which was
That's
this?
cool.
We just looked at her first appearance
Yeah,
there.
Austin, Texas.
Yeah. I loved how it's first appearance. JSA Secret Files, the thing you just read.
Yeah.
But another thing you know about Kendra that we're going to get into before we close out the show when diving into Mr. Terrific is later on in the JSA run, which also Jeff Johns is a part of, which comic book fans will know. She's starting to have weird dreams and not feel like herself, kind
This is
of.
a very image-looking type art.
No, it's all around that late '90s, like
Yeah.
early 2000s.
Very
kind of.
shiny.
And like she seems a little off, and everybody else thinks and notices she's off. And one of the things they notice is like when you grab it, she has scars on her wrist that she's never talked about.
Okay.
So she's like, whatever, like leave me alone, and she flies away. While she's like out flying, trying to clear her head, she comes across this guy named Zariel. I'm gonna call him Zariel.
Okay.
He was a part of, I guess, the JSA or the Justice League at some point in time.
Okay.
He's kind of like an angel of sort. That's all
Yeah.
you need to know about
Yeah.
this is he has a link to like the different kind of planes of some
DC,
sort.
there is an angel, right?
No, I mean,
Isn't there a guy that called the angel or something?
probably.
Yeah,
I can't
I'm pretty
think of
sure.
one. Well, there's the X-Men obviously has
Yeah,
Angel,
yeah, that's
but,
what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
But
What's that person called?
Angel?
Oh, it is Angel? Okay.
Or at least the one, right?
got
Or
freaking
there's
talons on
there's
his feet,
Archangel. Yeah. With part of her
Archangel,
boots.
maybe that's who I'm thinking of, yeah.
Anyway, so he has like you just need to know he has like a connection to the.
Okay.
I'm trying to explain this easily.
Different realms.
Yeah.
Gonna go back and forth.
And so like she tells him that like, you're an angel, like, or she goes, what's wrong with you? Like these scars on your wrist. And she was like, I tried things when I was younger, like after I lost my parents. And he's like, well, what happened to him? And she's like, you're the angel, you tell me. I just kind of love it because it reminds me of like
it's
a little
true,
melodrama-ish. And he's like, they're murdered, weren't they? She goes, yeah. And then I just kind of spiraled after that, like got into trouble with different things and I made some dumb mistakes. But, after then I tried to take a lot of pills and, my grandpa went and rushed me to the hospital and they pumped my stomach and I had one of those like, things where like everything flashes before your eyes. But finally, like after that, like I've been able to just, realize like I didn't want to do that anymore. But here lately, I keep having the same dream over and over again that like I'm dying over and
so
over
are we to
again.
think she was cutting herself? Is that?
Yeah, that's what it's led to. Yeah,
okay.
I mean that's what. Yeah, she was.
Yeah, sure.
But he's like different times, and then there's always this man like Khufu, like I don't know who he is, like just keeps showing up in my dreams.
Too much Khufu.
Yeah, and she's like, I don't know, maybe that explains these nightmares. Is like when I got so close to like that tunnel when I was near death that like now I'm getting maybe my great aunt's memories or
We're getting very close to like Moon Knight territory and
kind
stuff,
of
Yeah.
And so he goes, well, what if Kendra actually didn't make it back that night and your attempt was successful? Like, but then like Kendra's like, but you're saying, and the angel tells her that not Kendra Saunders, like her soul has moved on. Kendra Saunders is dead. Like essentially, no. Like you're not Kendra anymore. You're possessed by like the old spirit that was Hawkgirl again.
Oh.
The reincarnation of
Okay.
like the spirit. So I don't know how they're going to explain that part.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because there's also then they get into like a pool of how Hawkman and Hawkgirl are always linked to one another. Like they do all this stuff. It gets really messy to me. Just simple like standalone of the comics. I don't think we're going to get any of the. I'm not saying you're not going to get any of the reincarnation stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't think that you're going to maybe get like the Hawkman and Hawkgirl always like come
Linked
together type thing.
Yeah.
I also think that maybe obviously they'll rework her origin some to be it, but I do see that she could still be like Speed Saunders and like maybe the granddaughter or the great like
Sure.
still be related to an old Hawkgirl
Just
because
simplified a bit.
because James Gunn has said in interviews, I said that like metahumans and stuff have been known to exist for at least 300 years. So it would make sense that to me that there would be some legacy heroes. So maybe it's just as simple in this version of the Hawkgirl that was the first one is like her grandma or something, or a relative of hers. It could just be something simple like that.
Yeah.
But that is Hawkgirl.
Well, that would be a lot easier for audiences to understand, I
True.
would think. Yeah.
Let's get into our last one, who I'm going to dive into a little bit more.
This is the one that I really know nothing about. Like, I didn't know much about Hawkgirl, but I mean, it's Hawkgirl. What do you know?
And that is Mr. Terrific. And I will tell you right now, we talked about the pair a little bit at the beginning of the show. My first introduction to Mr. Terrific is that picture over there on the right. I don't know if you can tell. It looks very similar to Mr. Miracle in a way. It was Mitch Geraud's art because Tom King and Mitch Geraud's did a story for Adam Strange that we will cover at some point in time
really? Okay.
called Strange Adventure. And they need somebody to they need one of the smartest men out there to like lead an investigation. Batman feels like he's too close to it to do it. So he calls the man that the only other man he would trust with that, which turns out to be Mr. Terrific. And that led me kind of down a rabbit hole of learning more about Mr. Terrific when I read that story then.
Right.
He's the third smartest man in the entire world.
Okay.
There's also
number two?
Well, number one, Lex Luthor. Number two, Batman.
Okay.
Mr. Terrific. Humans. I think if you add in Brainiac, obviously, but that's different.
Sure.
So that's how it works in DC. But also, there's I can't remember what cartoon show it's from, but I saw it as a clip that they use that line in one of the shows, and he's like, he's playing, I don't know, an alien in chess or something like that. And the guy goes, "Oh, Mr. Terrific, you were a more formidable foe than I thought for only the third smartest man in the world." And he sits there and it shows Mr. Terrific and he smiles and he goes, "Who do you think wrote the list?" Kind of of course I'm going to downplay it a little bit then too.
Yeah.
What we have though is Mr. Terrific was a character who started, here we get into it now, a Sensation Comics.
Yeah, sure.
First with Wonder Woman, way back in 1940. And it's
I don't like that.
Terry Sloan is the very first Mr. Terrific, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And what Terry Sloan is Terry Sloan's a boy genius, essentially. At 10, he creates this underwater sub that the Navy ends up using. They don't have any plans that are as good as these. And they go and they get the boy to use to help the other problems they have. And they thank him. And then some people show up to steal the plans from the Navy officer. Yeah. And this 10-year-old boy is just already so gifted athletically too that he just jumps out the window and just punches him clean smooth and chin, just knocks them both up, and they lock him up. And the Navy officer's like, "How'd you manage that?" And he goes, "Shucks, athletics is another one of my hobbies."
It's that same voice.
It does. Shucks.
Athletics is another one of my hobbies.
Yeah, Terry.
Oh, look at him getting his diploma up there.
When he graduates from high school at 11.
Yeah.
At 11.
Yeah.
And then after a year at college,
6 years early, 7 years early.
After a year at college, the professors give Terry an honorary degree, and they tell him, "You know more than we can teach you, Terry."
How the hell did he get this smart?
He's
just
a child prodigy.
Okay.
And that's they talk about his companions are older people who he still outsmarts easily. There's this guy that he's playing chess with. He's like, "Wow, nope, you got me again. That's 4 times in a row." And Terry's just like, "Oh man, it's no fun winning all the time." He just beats everybody. There's an event that they go to.
Lonely.
Yeah. After he finished with academics studies, he decided to concentrate on athletics. So he's running an event, and they're like, "Oh, there's Terry Sloan again. That's the 5th event he's won today." So he just wins at everything. He's just great at everything. After college and athletics, he decides to. He has success in business. He's the head of a board. They put him in charge of a plant.
He's Doogie Howser.
That's the thing. It's he's just everything.
But on steroids.
Exactly. Life is just great for Terry. Then he's at a party one night, and everybody's like, "Oh, look, there's Terry." He's
a party that loves 14-year-olds.
They're like, "Well, no, he's 18 at this point."
Okay.
I think. They're like, "Man, look at Terry.
Why is there a clown behind him?
He's so handsome." I don't know. I have no idea.
You see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, he's just wearing they're at a party.
Well, but the guy looks like a clown and the other guy looks like a ringmaster.
Kind of a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
But
There's a theme.
He's bored at the party and he goes off by himself and they're like, "What's the matter, Terry?" And he goes, "Are you tired with everybody fussing over you? What, is keep you from having a good time?" And he's like, "No, I am tired of having people make a fuss over my success." And they're like, "Well, you're overworking, old man. What you need is a vacation." And he's like, "You're right. That is what I need." And then I love this quote right here in the middle of it. It goes, "Suppose everything in life came to you easily. For you, success, wealth, and admiration of others. Do you think you'd be happy? no. We enjoy only the things we
Just
strive
no.
for. Yeah, just no.
Yeah.
We
is no
enjoy
other
only
choice,
the
but
things
no.
we strive for and achieve after great struggle. Okay, thanks.
I like right below it. That's my favorite panel.
So
Well, I'm just saying that's a T-shirt. It just says she
jumped,
jumped and she
eek.
goes eek. That's it.
So Terry's just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm just gonna go jump off a bridge, man. Honestly, that's what he's like. I've done everything I've ever wanted to do.
Because
There
he's
really-
too successful, he's going to jump off a bridge.
There really
Okay.
isn't anything else to do in life. The
Yeah.
bridge, that's an idea. Death, that's the only thing I haven't experienced yet. That's what he says. Well,
Okay.
he goes to jump, and instead there's another woman who jumps, and so
says
he,
eek.
and says eek, and so he dives in to save her. And as he pulls her out, he's like, "Well, why'd you jump?" And she goes, "Well, my little brother." Right? It's just me. Like, our parents died, and I take care of my little brother. And he's in this Purple Dagger gang. That's what it's called.
Purple tag. Okay.
And there's this guy named I can't remember this guy's. Oh, Big Shot.
Big shot.
Like he Big Shot. Like he like trades the boys. Like they want to look so cool to him. Like they go like, my brother robbed up a store and he paid him like a candy store and gave him the money and the gun back and stuff. And he's like, oh, like, good work, kid. Like he's essentially just like getting the street youths to go
Child
rob
army.
stores for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right?
Sure.
Because he's so cool.
Well, it is Big Shot. I mean,
Yeah, I love the line. Like this little kid goes, "Here's the gat and the swag, Big Shot." Holding up that candy store was a cinch,
cat in the swag.
and he just, "Good work, kid."
I
Like,
love the phrasing of things back then.
it was.
This is the 40s?
yeah, early 40s.
Yeah.
So Terry's like, you know what? That gives me an idea, and his idea is to dress up like that.
Costume is so stupid.
It is, and he has fair play written on his chest.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all.
Because like it's essentially like see if he says it in here, but it's just like everything should be fair, like fair
Right.
and even and
Right.
level. Like, you know,
He's a communist.
wow, how dare everybody be on the same level? What's up with that? It's just like I read I'm reading a really good series that came out this year, or
Not
maybe it
this
came
one.
out last year. No, called The Boy Wonder by Junie Ba. And it's about Robin, but Damian Wayne. And he's like going
Boo.
through this different stuff. And no, it's really good.
I'm sure the series is good. I'm just booing Robin. Any chance I get.
But there's like a line in there where it's a flashback to him and his mother reading a book. And she goes, always be careful of people who hoard their riches, who want to share all of a sudden and find the way that it causes their pile to grow. And he's like, yes, mother. And I was like, oh, that's a damn good line. And it's also, I butchered it a little bit, but it's also like they have just very just distinct in panels, like looks of like, oh, this feels very much like the billionaires we deal with now. And shit. It was really interesting. Anyway, back to this. So he has, fair play run on it because everything fair. And he goes to see these kids and they're like, hey, how would you fellas like to join up with me? And the Purple Dagger gang is like, no, we work for Big Shot, man. And they're like, Big Shot? Well, he's just small peanuts compared to me. Come on, I'll show you guys. So his plan is just to show him that he's better than Big Shot. So that's he shows up to Big Shot's office, and Big Shot like sicks his men on him.
I'm looking for a little rat.
A little rat?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's why he shows
Yeah.
up and he goes, I'm looking for a little rat who thinks he's a big shot. And he
So
goes,
good.
show me how good you are, you weasel. He just wants to throw in as much
See, in
vermin as he
my
can.
brain, every time I read things like that, it always comes across like hey, I'm here looking for a guy named Big Shot. You see?
Yeah, because that's how it's
hey,
written.
pal. Hey.
Oh, you're a wise guy.
Oh, you're a wise guy.
And he
I
goes,
see.
guys, throw this guy out of here, boys. He bothers me.
Get him out of here. He bothers me. Get out of here, kid.
And like somebody's like, oh, not nice to play with knives.
Not nice to play with knives.
Oh, then we just go, nor with guns, neither. Oh, what a guy.
Nor with guns either.
Here we go. I'll try to go through the whole thing for you.
Yeah.
What a guy. He's terrific. Well, little snot. Or he goes, well, little shot, you're next. The kids.
Little shot.
They'll help me. Come on, you Purple Dagger kids. Oh, I'm sorry. Come on, you Poiple, because it says P.
Poiple.
Come
Poiple
on, you
Dagger
Poiple
kids.
Dagger kids. Mob them. You mean you're afraid of him too, Big Shot? Like, that's how
I love
it's
how
going.
everyone's in a suit, and the kids all look like they just rolled out of Little Rascals. I
They
mean,
do.
it's just
Oh, man.
So good.
He's like, sure, he's a coward. All gangsters are. And he's like, come on, let's fight fair and square. And they go out, and as soon as he gets ready, he just throws a knife at him, then he ducks.
He goes to people. He goes to these guys that are using children to rob candy stores with guns and says, "Listen, we're gonna fight fair." What?
And he just clobbers him, knocks him out in front of the kids. And he's like, you see, boys, he's not that tough after all. That's your hero. And they're like, well, maybe he's not strong, but he's really smart. So what does Mr. Terrific decide to do there? He's like, all right, smart. Go ahead and add this up for the kids to show them how smart you are. He draws a math problem on the board to make him solve it for him.
What the hell?
And he can't. And the kid goes, he's a dumbbell. Get the dunce cap. And then Mr. Terrific shows the kid how good he is at math. And they're like, oh, he's terrific. He knows math.
Oh, well, see, they didn't teach that back then.
Right?
It was optional.
So they honestly,
that's how the Depression started.
Big Shot, he tells him to get out of town, and Big Shot runs away with a dunce cap on, as you see him there. And they go back to the Purple Dagger Gang hideout, and they just dump over. Remember how big that looked? Like, look how small it looks there in the center.
Yeah.
But yet they all somehow, where is that, in the top right, fit in there? Come on, man. Anyway.
It's perspective, Zach.
I know. Yeah. So Mr. Terrific gives him a business card.
He did great at math. Here's a bike.
And he goes, he's like, if y'all want a new place to hang out, here's the new clubhouse for you. And what it is.
The Fair Play Club.
The Fair Play Club. And so the kids show up. So essentially, Mr. Terrific, Terry Sloan.
For me, terrific, it says.
Mr. Terrific is a guy who just taught kids lessons, but he had no powers. He was just super smart.
Yeah.
Really good at athletics. And he would go around and he would teach lessons like that.
Yeah.
Beating them up and then make them solve math problems.
I mean, at that point, this is probably
it's early on.
a really good. Oh, wow.
Now,
yeah.
Hold on, we're gonna get at something else. In the 70s,
you gotta warn me when you're gonna change that hard.
I'm sorry. In the 70s,
hey boys, I'm gonna kill you all.
In the 70s, late 70s, there's a JSA story, Justice League of America, Justice Society of America.
Okay.
Where Mr. Terrific is murdered in the I think it's Watchtower. Like they have a get together and he's murdered there by one of the Justice League members.
You know what that's not?
What?
Terrific.
That's not. But it turns out that he had been what's the word? Possessed by somebody called the Spirit King, right? So we find out, I'm sorry, not he, Jay Garrick, the Flash, had been. And so he used that to kill Terry because Terry knew that it was the Spirit King.
Okay.
It leads to a whole story. You know this a little bit, that Mr. Terrific's dead in the late 70s. This is now 1997, right? And we're looking at the Spectre here. And Mr. Ostrander is writing the Spectre, and he decides to bring us back Mr. Terrific in the form of Michael Holt. Hoyt Holt. Of course, I'm going to butcher that right now. I think it's Hoyt now. So his story is not as fun as Michael Holt. Thank you. There we go. I had to get that right. Holt, H-O-L-T. So his story isn't necessarily as fun as the original Mr. Terrific's. It's very similar, where he is a genius guy. I went ahead and I read the most recent. They did a Mr. Terrific Year 1. Okay. And in the most recent version, he, I'm going to get into the story about this some here, but he was he had this genius tech company with he and his wife, and he is same thing. He's a decathlete, same thing. Great athlete, third smartest man in the world. That's the thing. So the spheres and everything you see in Superman, it's all this tech that he invents and he creates and stuff and does himself.
Right.
So he's a very smart man. No actual superpowers, but he also kind of takes up the mantle of the original Mr. Terrific. And
so he's kind of an Iron Man.
He kind of is an Iron Man in a way. This Michael Holt, he loses his wife in a tragic accident, Paula. I should say that John Ostrander, who I kind of gave credit to, is the one who creates the current version.
And then as soon as she dies, he throws her picture in the garbage.
Well, no, he's just lost. He doesn't feel like a reason to live. This is very much like Terry's bridge scene of why he doesn't. This is if Terry actually had something terrible happen, and that's why he went to the bridge. It's similar, but Michael has lost the only thing important in his life. He feels
which makes a lot more sense than just being so friggin' smart that you're going to kill yourself.
Exactly. And so while he's there, some local youth show up and try to stick him up, and he just doesn't care. He's like, I don't have anything, but if you guys want to shoot me, just go ahead and shoot me. He's standing on the bridge, thinking about jumping in front of a train down there too. You see where the picture falls and crashes on top of it. But the Spectre appears and kind of scares off the guys away, and they like shoot at him and obviously realize that he's a Spectre, like he can't be shot.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells him the story then, Michael Holt, about the original Mr. Terrific. From like the story we talked about, and then also tells him kind of the JSA of like how he thought that, you know, something was there, or, you know, that something got to him, something killed him. Yeah. In that story, though, when we go through here, I'm just focusing on the current Mr. Terrific parts here. But like
he does actually give a flashback to it.
Yeah, he does kind of give a flashback.
He looks way cooler in that art.
He does through all of it. Yeah. But he also tells him the story then of how like he has to help the Flash hunt down the Spirit King and like try to get, you know, like try to stop him because he's going one by one, like possessing different members, and he's getting more and more powerful and all this.
Okay.
But the spirit of Terry, it talks about how he always felt like he was never enough because he had no powers compared to everybody else, kind of in a way. But in the end, like his spirit kind of crosses over and helped them defeat the Spirit King, and he kind of like sacrifices himself like at the end. And he's like, you know, I'm just like paraphrasing. He's like, you know, it took all this time for me to feel like I was never on y'all's level, but thankfully, like at the end, I was finally to do something where I felt like I was. And so like he sacrifices himself to save everybody. So the Spectre kind of like tells him this whole story and kind of like inspires Michael Holt then to take up the role as Mr. Terrific.
Okay.
So he's a street level criminal. He's a street level hero who then would like, you know, I'm just showing the rest of the.
He's got fair play on his back though.
He does. Cool. He did it first. Well, later it evolves. Do I have it on here? I do. This is the new one. Later it evolves where it's down his shirt sleeves.
Oh,
but that's where we get it.
Yeah.
Okay. And so he takes up the role of Mr. Terrific. Now, I kind of gave you where his backstory is now, where it's the loss of his wife kind of puts him in. In this one, this is from Mr. Terrific Year 1 that I was reading that came out this year.
Okay.
And that is just so you can kind of see it's him. His wife has died from accident, and he sold his company to the first person he could sell his company to just to kind of like get out of it. Like he has a Jarvis that's called, I think it's called Nola. So it is very Iron Man. And that's his friend then that's talking to him. And his friend asks him, like, Nola, when was the last time Michael got out of the house for more than an hour? And he's like, 6 months. Like, you know, he's like, Nola, shut up. Like, he's turned into like a shut-in, just working on different things, still trying to process the loss of his wife. So what I think we're going to get out of Mr. Terrific here, if what I'm guessing, or, you know, my guess is a guy who I don't know if he necessarily needs to, like, we don't need to know about Terry Salone, you know, the original Mr. Terrific.
Yeah.
But I added it just kind of like, you know, for us there, it's cool to know that there's something that came before it.
Yeah.
I feel like Mr. Terrific is obviously going to be a guy very much probably like Iron Man there.
Well, we're not a comic book movie podcast.
No.
We're a comic book podcast.
We are a
That's
comic
why
book
you give
podcast.
that
Exactly.
background. Yeah.
And so I feel like it'll probably be very much Michael Holt, you know, an incredibly one of the world's most smartest men who creates all that tech, who is like your Iron Man. That is what he is of the group, who is probably dealing with the loss, you know, of his wife, that has his own demons that he's battling. The thing that I will add in real quick that we did cover, and I included it here just to show you, I talked about the Terrifics briefly, and as you see down there, Metamorpho, who is a part of the Terrifics too, along with Plastic Man and them, like that is a team of like just a fun, zany.
Who's the female at the bottom?
And of course you would ask me, and I forget right now. Oh man. Sometimes
That's
I'm
okay.
like the Terrifics. I'm gonna figure out because I blanked.
So that's Metamorpho.
That is Metamorpho.
With the purple.
Yes.
You see Plastic Man with his long ass neck and his peace sign coming around the front, doing a little bit of a reach around there.
Phantom Girl. There we go.
Phantom Girl.
Yes.
And then I'm going to ask you one more that's hard. Who's the Captain America looking lady up
Oh,
top
that's
there?
Star Spangled. Oh, she's in JSA. Dang it. Star Spangled Kid, I think.
Okay.
I think that's who it is. Man.
Sorry.
No, maybe it's not.
That's okay. It's all right. She has nothing to do with what we're talking about now. I'm sure we'll run across her again.
It is. Courtney Whitmore. Okay. That's the thing. So in the JSA, the Star Spangled Kid is the original Star Spangled Kid is a guy back in like the 40s, and when they bring her back in the 90s in 99, it's Courtney Whitmore. So yeah, our Star Girl too.
Okay.
Sorry. She went by Star Spangled Kid, but Stargirl. And then there's Hawkman, who you see.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. That is just kind of like a little soft intro primer to.
I'm very much looking forward to this movie.
Do you feel like you are a little bit better off?
Yeah, a little bit better. Yeah. I mean, we still.
It's just kind of like a brief, like.
No, I get it. Yeah, it's the three people in Superman for Dummies. You know, that kind of thing, right?
And then
just, Cliff Notes.
And then on Wednesday, if you want to stick around for that, for our World's Finest Wednesday, because it's actually a Silver Age tale, we're going to cover the Brave and the Bold issue that is the origin of Metamorpho.
Okay. That's
so
cool.
we're just going to cover, it's just one comic issue that will, cover about Metamorpho. And then you should be a little bit set more there, because we're about to dive into we're getting Superman heavy, but then we have Lex Luthor, Man of Steel the week after that. And then we're going to do All-Star Superman.
Very cool.
And I've thought about it, Mike, and this is what I've decided to do. Remember when we covered Mr. Miracle, and it's 12 issues, and so it's a little bit, it's hard to get through because there's a lot in each issue. It's the same kind of with All-Star Superman. So each issue isn't like of me trying to split 6, and we have like an hour and a half one Monday and an hour and a half the next Monday.
Yeah.
Those 2 weeks are Wednesday episodes. I'm going to cut it up there. So we'll do 30, 30, 30, 30.
Okay.
And we'll do 3 issues, 3 issues, 3 issues, 3 issues.
No, that's great.
To make it work that way, because it'll be more digestible, I think, for you guys then too, to do it that way then too, so you don't have to sit through of going through. And plus to give it the thing it deserves, because I think that Mike and I, the beauty of it is too, and for us in covering it, is we'll have seen the movie in the middle of us covering it too, so we'll be able to kind of reflect on that too. But that's my idea moving forward. Mike, thank you as always for being a part of the show. Thank you guys.
Man. I love it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Thank you guys, as always, for watching, listening, however you ingest this content. I can't thank you guys enough. Appreciate it so much.
Ingest.
Okay. I'm sorry. Also, make sure to check out the other great podcasts and shows on the Rogue Media Network at roguemedianetwork.com.
roguemedianetwork.com.
And make sure to tune in Wednesday for Metamorpho. Until next time, stay safe, everybody.
Hey, got it, Gunn.
Frozen heroes. Gonna tell you about frozen heroes. Gonna tell you about.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.